Yes, sir.
My name is Jeff Morgan, and when we talk about veteran suicide, what we don't talk about a lot of times is what happens in family courts. According to secondclasscitizen.org, they've said that 1/3 of the active servicemen who commit suicide are committing suicide because what has happened to them in family courts. People that have gone to serve their country, and when they come back, they find themselves either the victim of divorce or no longer with their children. And not only are the veterans committing suicide, but there's another demographic that we don't talk about. The children of those veterans who go through this that are committing suicide. This is a huge, huge issue that we need to look at. And I think that when we talk about the issue of suicide, and we look at it from a mental health perspective, but we've also got to look at it from a justice perspective. When you get a divorce attorney up there or a custody attorney and they say, he's a monster because he has PTSD and should not have his kids, and he or she, it happens to both, that has been a person serving his or her country, I think that we need to go beyond just the mental health issues and talk about the systemic issues within our so-called justice system or our court system, because that's where a lot of these suicides are coming from. And I think that the 1/3, from what I've read other places, that seems to be a low figure. Most of these suicides are related to family issues. Mothers or fathers who want to come back to their children. We've seen those videos. The boys, the girls that love their father, that love their mother. Imagine coming back home and being falsely accused of something and not being able to see your children. I will speak about this because I've known a lot of people. One man told me this. I was in Iraq serving as a Marine. He said, I lost 4 men in combat. I've come back to the States. I've now lost 13 Marines to these family courts. What are we going to do about this issue? Thank you very much.
Speak to that. Thank you for raising the issues that you raised. I think you made some important points there that suicide is not a singular response to a singular issue. It's not as simple as service members deploying over and over, coming home and dying by suicide because of their experience. There are other issues that factor in, family issues, addiction, alcoholism. And we have found that one of the most effective ways in tackling that is recognizing it. And like I said, reducing the stigma that is associated with the discussion of mental health and suicide in general. And not only that, but then welcoming the service members in once they accept the treatment, and then addressing all those other issues that are out there.
But how do you address a serviceman who was otherwise okay, but he finds out that I'm not allowed to see my kids because they've been falsely accused of domestic violence? And Congressman Veasey, I think this is actually something that perhaps you should be looking at from a legislative perspective. We had a bill that we tried to get forth in Texas this past session that never got voted on, but it was basically called the Military Child Protection Act, so that military children would be protected in that relationship with their parents, the ones who've deployed, that they can come back. This is more than a mental health issue. This is actually an injustice and an abuse issue. And this is what's contributing to suicides. I've been down, I've actually spoken with the Attorney General in front of him. This is an issue that needs to be raised at the very highest levels. And I think when we talk about veterans, this is an issue that we need to raise nationwide, because this is a nationwide epidemic. We cannot treat our veterans like this.
It's a nationwide epidemic. And I can tell you from the perspective of a widow with children who've lost their father to suicide, it is a multifaceted issue that should be addressed, like I said, through the licensed clinicians and through the peer support and through the public discourse like we're doing today.
Right.
So thank you for your question.
Anyone else? Sorry.
Hey, just to add on to that just a little bit, I think what's important is we've got to catch the veteran in transition. That's very important to do. If we can catch the veteran, he, she, whatever the case may be, catch them in that transition when they're coming home. Because we can guide them in the right direction of getting employment, getting counseling, whatever the case may be. I think that's part of the solution. The other part of the solution is, and the justice system is quite above my head. I faced a judge many years ago, and it didn't go in my favor, of course. I'm good now, but what we do, and we can do, is we continue to provide the services. For example, my organization, and I know many other organizations, we also see family members and children for couples counseling, marital counseling, whatever the case may be, and adolescent counseling. So if we continue to get the awareness out there that there are services for the entire family, not just for the veteran, I think we can make a positive impact on the entire family and community.
I completely agree, and one of the issues that we also see in our work is that we actually see a lot of the kids from the school districts. We are getting referrals for the children of veterans and who are, experiencing trauma, who have experienced trauma because their father or the mother is acting out or, whatever. And so, we've got to, as my fellow panelists have said, really get the information out there. I mean, the other thing is that we need to look at diversion. We need to look at, our organization works with the vet court and a number of other courts so that we can get that and provide alternative services so that we are not dealing with domestic violence and other issues like that.
And see, even just by saying domestic violence, and I'm not saying that that doesn't happen, but that tends to be the stigma that these service members come back to. Oh, he is a domestic abuser. He has PTSD. This person is a monster. And that's where I think that we also need to look at some of these things. The web class, secondclasscitizen.org, they actually talk about this much more in depth. I realize that this is maybe a question that got sprung on you suddenly, but especially Congressman Veasey, perhaps I could talk with you because I do think that there are some things we can do, not just at the state level, but at a national level that we would love to have your support with. And thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.